2024 Subaru Crosstrek. Is this the best small crossover SUV to buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Up Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. For 2024, Subaru has completely redesigned their small crossover SUV, the Crosstrek, which is one of their best-selling models in the lineup, right next to the Subaru Forester. So for this video, we're going to take an in-depth look and look at all the major changes that Subaru has made for 2024 and whether this is a better small crossover SUV to buy than the competition from brands like Honda, Toyota, and Mazda. And remember, if you enjoy and get value out of this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications. I post 2 videos a week, always straight to the point, valuable car buying advice designed to help you, the consumer. So as mentioned, right next to the Forester, the Crosstrek is the best-selling model in the Subaru lineup. And that really has to do with its amazing reputation when it comes to offering great value for money, a solid reputation for reliability and resale value, and just being a well-designed vehicle with a decent amount of interior space, lots of great features, and a lot of safety technology too. And of course, this is also a very capable small vehicle with a really well-designed all-wheel drive system, Subaru symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive, and also excellent ground clearance with 8.7 inches of ground clearance, one of the best in the small crossover segment. And for 2024, Subaru really hasn't messed with the formula all that much. This is a lot more of an evolutionary redesign as opposed to a complete ground-up redesign. The new Crosstrek is roughly the same size as before, with similar dimensions when it comes to length, width, and height, and also a very similar amount of interior space, both in the front and rear seats and also the cargo area. So if you're an owner of an existing Crosstrek and are happy with the size, well, you're going to feel right at home in this new version. And if you're the type who is hoping for a little bit more space than before, well, then you're going to be in for a little bit of disappointment. And not only is this more or less the same in terms of overall size and passenger space, but it's also very similar to the old model when it comes to overall design. Subaru went with a very evolutionary redesign with only mild changes to the headlights and taillights and a few other minor trim changes which a lot of people are not going to recognize on first glance. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that because, let's face it, a lot of Subaru fans are not necessarily buying one of these vehicles for the design. They're buying it for the capability, that strong reputation for reliability, and the amazing value that it offers. As mentioned, you have that same symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive as standard on every single model, and you also have the same drivetrains that were available from before, which means you get either a base 2-liter boxer engine or, on the higher trims, a larger 2.5-liter boxer engine with a little bit more power. Either way, you get a continuously variable transmission or a CVT as standard on every trim, and there's no longer the option of a manual transmission, which Subaru has eliminated for 2024. Now, for those who were hoping for some changes in the drivetrain compartment, you're obviously going to be in for a little bit of disappointment, but the fact that Subaru hasn't changed the drivetrains is a good thing in certain ways. Like, for example, you're not going to have to worry about having any brand new, untested, complicated technology that is going to have a lot of early teething issues that need to be worked out over time. This is basically the same engines and transmission that you have from before, so you can buy one of these things right off the bat and be pretty certain that you're going to have great reliability because there's nothing really new here. The base 2-liter engine produces 152 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque. And if you move up to the larger 2.5-liter engine, you get 182 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. Now obviously I haven't driven the new Crosstrek yet, but based on my experience with the previous generation model, I can tell you right away that the larger 2.5-liter engine is going to be the one that you really want. It really makes a huge difference having all that extra power underneath the hood. The reality is that the base 2-liter engine is a little bit underpowered for this vehicle. It really doesn't have a lot of accelerating powers, which is really noticeable, especially when you're merging onto the highway. And not only do you not have a lot of power with that base engine, but being a boxer engine design, it's a little bit on the rough and crude side when compared to a conventional 4-cylinder engine. So you really want to have that larger displacement 2.5-liter engine, which not only gives you more power, but also a little bit more smoothness too. Now, the official fuel economy was not available at the time of this recording, but I imagine it's going to get very similar fuel economy to the previous generation Crosstrek, which was able to achieve roughly 28 to 34 miles per gallon, or between 7 to 9 liters per 100 kilometers. And I imagine the 2024 model is going to achieve roughly the same. Now, unfortunately, Subaru has not announced any plans to introduce a hybrid version, which is a little bit of a shame because hybrids are becoming more and more popular on the market. We have the brand new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid as an example of that, and Subaru in fact already sells a hybrid version of the Crosstrek in certain markets with their e-Boxer hybrid engine design. So it would be great to see Subaru bring that hybrid option over to North America, and maybe they will in the near future. But for now, all you can get is either the 2-liter or the 2.5-liter engines. Now, moving on to the interior changes, this is where Subaru has made more significant updates to the new Crosstrek, primarily in the infotainment system department. Gone is the previous touchscreen with the simple climate controls below, and instead we now have the new large 11.6-inch touchscreen infotainment system with Subaru's Starlink interface. Now, those who are a fan of having all of their controls on the touchscreen and just having a larger screen in general, this is obviously going to be a good thing. But for those who prefer a more traditional setup with regular buttons and knobs and a more straightforward layout, this is not going to be the greatest thing. I find the responsiveness of the screen to be not the greatest, and it also doesn't have the best resolution, especially when it comes to the backup camera system. And even though you do get some traditional controls, like your volume and tuning knob and your temperature controls, most of the controls do have to be accessed through the touchscreen, including a lot of your basic climate control functions, so you do have to get used to using the screen on a regular basis. The rest of the interior is more or less similar to what we've seen on other Subaru models like the Outback and the Legacy. This is a well put together interior with very good build quality, lots of storage space, and straightforward steering controls, and also a lot of standard active safety features as part of Subaru EyeSight. And as mentioned, because Subaru hasn't changed the overall size of the Crosstrek, you have more or less the same amount of interior space as before, which means this is not the most spacious vehicle in its segment. So the Crosstrek is going to be a vehicle for someone who doesn't necessarily need to have the most amount of interior space. But if you want something on the smaller size, well, this is going to fit the bill perfectly fine. And now let's get into the pricing. The pricing for the Crosstrek is going to range from around 26 to 32,000 US, or roughly 30 to 38,000 Canadian. Now the pricing in the US hasn't changed too much from the 2023 model year, but it is a significant price increase for the Canadian market, roughly $2,000 more than what it cost in 2023, which was already $1,000 more than the year before, so the pricing for this model has certainly gone up by quite a bit. Although I would still consider it to be a decent value, it's certainly not the amazing value that it was before. And now the entry-level pricing of the Crosstrek has crept up to the point where it now costs almost as much as an entry-level Forester, which is a much bigger and more substantial vehicle. If I were interested in buying a Crosstrek, the one that I would likely go for is the base model with the 2.5-liter engine, which is the Sport trim in the US, or the Onyx trim in Canada. I think these trims offer the best value for your money, with a really generous list of standard features and safety technology, along with that larger 2.5-liter engine, which in my opinion is a must-have for this vehicle. So how exactly does the Crosstrek stack up against the competition, and should you really buy one? Well, based on what I'm seeing here and based on its reputation in the past, I still would recommend considering the Crosstrek if you want a small crossover SUV. Because Subaru still hasn't changed a whole lot, it should still maintain that amazing reputation for having strong build quality and reliability, which is one of the main reasons why a lot of people buy a Subaru in the first place. So I would rank the Crosstrek pretty high up there, right next to other small crossovers like the Mazda CX-30, the Honda HR-V, and the Toyota Corolla Cross, all of which are great alternatives. I wouldn't necessarily say that the new Crosstrek is excelling in any particular area. When it comes to fuel economy, performance, the features, and the pricing, it's not exactly the leader in any particular spot, but it's very good at just about everything. This is a very well-rounded choice, and I think this is still a strong contender if you want to have a small crossover. So in the end, even though the new Crosstrek is not a significant change from the version that we had before, anyone who already bought a Crosstrek in the last couple of years, you don't need to sweat because Subaru really hasn't changed the formula very much. You can hold on to what you have for a little bit longer, but anybody who is in the market, this is a great option to consider. It doesn't excel in any particular area, but it's very good at doing almost everything. And when it comes to value, reliability, cost of ownership, and the features that you're getting for the money, well, this is a very good choice. So there you have it, the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek. Let me know what you think of this new vehicle and how does it compare against the alternatives, and which one would you go for? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at my other car videos by clicking these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And if you need additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.